The snowstorm had swallowed the town whole, not a single sound, not a single soul. Just white silence stretching endlessly. Frost clawed at window edges, and the wind screamed down the empty streets like the echoes of ghosts long forgotten. Inside a lonely diner at the far end of town, a man wiped down tables that hadn't seen life in hours. His hands were rough, his knuckles split, each scar telling a story of hard work and quiet endurance. The faded apron around his waist was more memory than fabric, stained by years of serving meals with love to people just trying to make it through another day. Then, the bell above the door gave a faint, trembling ring. James Whittaker turned. Through the fogged-up glass, two small faces appeared, pale, trembling, eyes wide with hunger and fear. Two children, drenched and shivering, pressed their faces to the window as if begging the warmth inside to save them. For a moment, time froze, and though James didn't know it yet, what he was about to do, one small, simple act of kindness, would ripple across decades and rewrite countless lives. Because 22 years later, a sleek black Rolls-Royce would pull up to that very same spot, no longer a shabby diner, but a place of hope, healing, and second chances. And the story of what happened between those two nights is one you'll never forget. If you believe that kindness still matters, that one good deed can echo through time, then stay with me. Like this video, share it with someone who needs a little faith today, and subscribe to HOA-GLORIOUS Stories, because what you're about to hear might just change how you see the world. James I. Whittaker never meant to stay in that town. He used to dream big, of becoming a chef in the city, of owning a cozy restaurant where laughter floated through the air and music played softly in the background. But dreams have a way of breaking when life demands sacrifice. After his mother's death and his sister's descent into addiction, James found himself raising his little niece on his own. Bills piled up, sleep vanished, hope dimmed. So he took a job at a crumbling roadside diner, not because he wanted to, but because someone had to keep the lights on. Yet even in that forgotten place, James became something rare, a quiet constant. He remembered every face, every name, every story. He served not just food, but dignity. Then came that brutal winter night. Snow piled high against the door. The wind cut like knives, and that's when he saw them. Two children huddled together, barely clothed, eyes full of the kind of fear you only learn from being left behind. The boy was maybe 11, the girl 6. Something inside James cracked open, not out of pity but recognition. He had been them once, lost, cold, hungry. Without hesitation, he unlatched the door. "Come in," he said softly. "You're safe here." They hesitated. Then the boy took his sister's hand and stepped inside. James poured 2 bowls of hot soup, the steam fogging the windows once again. He didn't ask their names or where they came from. He just smiled and said, "Eat." The boy tore a piece of bread in half and gave it to his sister. Her tiny fingers shook as she lifted the spoon, and James turned away for a moment, blinking back tears. For the next hour they ate in silence, the kind of silence that speaks louder than words. Before they left, James packed 2 sandwiches, tucked a 20 bill inside the bag, and said quietly, "You can come by any time," but they never did. That night, he waited until closing, glancing at the door every few minutes, hoping to see their faces again. He never did. Still, their image stayed with him, haunting and unfinished, like a story missing its ending. Years rolled on. The diner changed. People started coming not just for the food, but for him. The man who remembered birthdays, who brought soup to the sick, who made sure no one left hungry. And all the while, somewhere deep inside, James held on to the memory of those 2 children, never knowing how much that single night would come to mean. When the old owner finally decided to retire, James took the biggest gamble of his life. He emptied his savings, signed a risky loan, and bought the diner himself. But he didn't just keep it running. He rebirthed it. He renamed it Whittaker's Haven, and it truly became one. A refuge during winter storms, place where the hungry found warmth. A kitchen that turned holidays into miracles for people who had nothing James still wore his same old apron, still cooked every meal with that quiet grace that came from love, not pride. Only now every plate, every bowl, every smile, it was his dream come true. His kitchen, his vision. But dreams never erase the ache of loss. His niece, the little girl he had raised as his own, grew up battling shadows he couldn't always reach. High school brought pain, college brought distance. One day she was gone. The letters James sent every birthday, every Christmas, never came back. Yet he never stopped writing. He never stopped hoping. Hope was his anchor, even when the nights felt endless and the silence heavy. Then one crisp winter morning, exactly 22 years after that night of snow and soup, something extraordinary happened. James was prepping the kitchen before dawn when he heard it. A low, unfamiliar hum outside. Through the frosted window, headlights cut through the grey. A black Rolls-Royce rolled to a stop right in front of Whitaker's Haven. James frowned. That kind of car didn't belong here. The door opened. Out stepped a man in a tailored coat, confidence in his stance. But something about his eyes made James's heart skip. Beside him, a woman in a crimson coat stepped out, her golden brown hair catching the faint morning light. For a heartbeat, time seemed to rewind. The door opened and they stepped inside, looking around the room as though it were sacred. Then the man's gaze found James. His lips trembled into a smile. "You probably don't remember us," he said, voice breaking. "But you saved our lives." The woman stepped forward, tears glistening. "I was the little girl in the purple hoodie," she whispered. "You gave us soup that night. You told us we were safe." James froze. His breath caught. The years melted away. The man placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "My name's Elijah," he said. "This is my sister, Anna. After that night, we were put into foster care. But what you did, it stayed with us. It gave us hope when we had none. It made us want to live." Elijah was now a successful tech entrepreneur, one of the top in the country. Anna had become a pediatric surgeon who founded a program for children who couldn't afford care. Both had built lives centered on helping others, all because one man long ago refused to turn them away. "We've been looking for you for years," Anna said, her voice shaking. "And now it's our turn to give something back." Outside, curious townsfolk began to gather as Elijah reached into his coat and handed James a shining set of keys. The Rolls-Royce wasn't just a gift. It was a symbol of gratitude that had come full circle, but that wasn't all. Elijah handed him a letter. Inside was proof that they had paid off every last cent of his debt and pledged $2 million to expand Whitaker's Haven into a full community outreach center. James's knees buckled. He fell into their arms, sobbing as the snow began to fall again. Soft, quiet, endless. The crowd outside cheered, and many wept because they had always known James's worth. Now the whole world knew it too. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to HOA-GLORIOUS Stories. Let's remind the world that no act of kindness is ever wasted, and that somehow, some way, love always finds its way home. Special request, tell us in the comments, what's the kindest thing a stranger ever did for you? Your story might just inspire someone else today.